Let's bring you this conversation now. The Pretoria High Court has dismissed Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya's bid to be reinstated. He was placed on special leave, or should we say leave of absence, following explosive claims of interference in the KwaZulu-Natal Political Killings Task Team. Let's get more detail now around what the next steps will be for Sibiya, and we're joined by his legal representative, Ian Levitt. Mr. Levitt, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time. Good evening. Is the decision now to appeal this decision? And let's remind the viewers that this was a full bench of judges at the Pretoria High Court.
Yes, that is correct. But I just do want to commence this interview with the following, which I think is very important. That at the outset, my client has requested me to emphasize, which I intend to do and which I'm doing now, that he respects the rule of law as well as the court and its rulings. The court was composed of 3 judges, as you correctly say, 3 senior judges, and we all respect the rulings. But it's not a disrespect to say that we are investigating an appeal, which we are in fact doing in answer to your question. We've seen before that the Constitutional Court has disagreed with the Supreme Court of Appeal, and there it's got 5 judges. You mentioned a full court. The full court is 3 judges, and the Constitutional Court has disagreed in the past with 5 judges. So we are investigating the prospects of an appeal, absolutely.
Okay, so you're investigating prospects of an appeal, so that tells us that you are no closer to lodging papers anytime soon.
Well, the bigger question that we've got is whilst we still believe in our client's case, the fact is that there are competing priorities. It's very ironic, this whole case, in the following sense, that what we attempted to do was to interdict a parallel process of investigation that the commissioner said was the investigation to our client was completed, and that he was subsequent to our application, or around the time of application, suspended, so that they wanted to run a parallel process. But now that the application has been refused, they're entitled to launch their parallel process, or this disciplinary hearing, but we've heard nothing. So what's going to happen ultimately is exactly what we asked for. The Commission of Inquiry is going to investigate this. We've heard nothing about a disciplinary hearing, which we would welcome. We want a venue where there have been starting allegations by one person. They have not been tested. And it needs to be tested for everyone's benefit. If they're true, they're true. If they're not true, they're not true. But it's one person's version of events. And the nation is aware of this. This is important for the country. And these allegations must be tested. Disciplinary hearing, we've heard nothing. We're going to go to the Parliament. We've been invited there next week. And the Commission of Inquiry, we're also going to be there, where we're going to where we hope to clear our name, or my client's name.
That's a very interesting comment from your side when you say internal disciplinary hearing, you have heard nothing. I spoke to the man who actually is charged with conducting this disciplinary hearing, this internal inquiry of the police, and that's the Western Cape Commissioner, Mr. Pategile, or Thembisile Pategile, and he did confirm that he indeed was the person who was conducting the investigation, the internal investigation, and that investigation had since come to an end, and he had handed his report to Commissioner Masemula. When you say you have not heard, when you say you've not heard of that disciplinary inquiry, what do you mean?
No, you're getting confused. He has conducted an investigation into the allegations against my client. That's not a disciplinary hearing. He has conducted an investigation. The investigation is completed. This is exactly what I'm saying to you. The next step is to have a disciplinary hearing. They believe that my client has a case to answer. Well, It must be tested in a disciplinary hearing. They've done an investigation as the employer. Let's have the disciplinary hearing. Those are two separate issues. You have an investigation, you find that somebody is found to be wanting or a case to answer, you then bring them to a disciplinary hearing to hear their version. This investigation that you're talking about didn't have my client's input into it. He's done an internal investigation. But now that needs to be tested with my client's version. People have to go into the witness box. Their version needs to be tested. My client needs to go into the witness box. His version needs to be tested. That's a disciplinary hearing, which is separate to an investigation.
Yeah. Okay. Now, there appear to have been developments because, as we said at the beginning of our conversation, Mr. Sibiya had been placed on a leave of absence. It has since emerged that he is now on suspension. Is that correct? And do you plan to take any further action given that development?
So that's the important question which was initially discussed at the beginning of this interview. When we spoke about the prospects of success of an appeal can take anything up to 6 to 9 months. What would be the purpose if we won the appeal? By then, the Commission of Inquiry would have hopefully finished its job. The parliamentary inquiry would have reported to Parliament. It would then be meaningless to have his suspension, which would have happened by then 9 months previously, set aside. The Commission of Inquiry now must be focused on by my client. The parliamentary inquiry must now be focused on by my client, those two venues. And this disciplinary hearing, which, as you correctly say, an investigation has been completed, we're waiting. They must bring it on. Let's test the complainant's allegation against my client. Let's test it in a proper process where people go into the witness box and the evidence is tested. Anyone can sign an affidavit, but no one can cross-examine an affidavit. So whatever affidavits there were in court, yes, it's under oath, but they have to go into the witness box now. That's when you're going to see the truth emerge. And that's why the Commission of Inquiry will consist of evidence being led and not done on affidavit. Yeah. So far, it's only been done on affidavit and investigations without my client being there. Now the truth must come out properly.
Finally, Mr. Sibiya's interest here is to return to work. Basically, that's what he wants to do, return to work. But we can't ignore the undercurrent here, and that is that the relationship between himself and the National Commissioner is tenuous, to put it mildly. Has this relationship not broken down irretrievably?
Look, that is something that is you're asking for a snapshot of a video and then taking a snapshot and saying, well, forget about the last 20 years and forget about what potentially could have been the next 10 years of his career, towards the end of his career. Here's a picture. Today, it's a beautiful day, but forget that there's winters and summers before and winters and summers after. And also what you need to understand is who may be at fault for the breakdown of the relationship if it's broken down. My client believes that he doesn't want to be that person that was told to stay at home under full pay for several years with full pay. He's being paid, he wants to go to work. Then he gets criticized for wanting to go to work because he's being paid. It doesn't make sense. People say, well, why don't you just relax at home? But he's a policeman. He wants to go to work. You know, there are untested allegations. That is the whole purpose of a trial. You have both sides. You have the people that will put the allegations and are tested in the witness box. Then the accused or the respondent or the defendant goes into the witness box, and then a judge makes a decision and says, well, who may or may not be telling the truth. Again, affidavits, letters, all of that is meaningless without context and with people going into the witness box and explaining exactly what was said in the affidavits, which again, I'll say we welcome very much.
Ian Levitt, thank you very much for your time, a lawyer representing the now suspended Deputy Police Commissioner, Shadrack Sibiya. Thank you very much for your time.